Alright, in these problems from the final review, you have evaluate the expression. Anyway, express the final answer with positive exponents only, so we'll take a look at what that means. In the first example here, you have a negative exponent, 5 to the negative 3. What that means is you're going to do 1 over 5 to the third. That's how you make it into a positive exponent. 5 to the negative 3 equals 1 over 5 to the third. Now, to simplify that down, you do 5 to the third power, which is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 25 times 5, which I believe is 125. So ultimately we get a fraction of 1 over 125. If we want to turn it back to an exponent, you would say 125 to the negative 1. Then that means it's 1 over 125 to the 1 power. But it's not asking us to do that. This is the answer to the problem because they want it in a positive exponent only. So the answer is 1 over 125. Now this one, what this is all based on, I've shown this in another video, but when you have x to the 4th over x to the 5th, the exponent rule is that when you have exponents of the same base, the base is x, you can subtract the exponents. Well, that will give us an answer of x to the negative 1 because it's 4 minus 5. You subtract 4 from 5 and you have negative 1. When you have that, that really means 1 over x. Now let me show you why that is. So this is x times x times x times x, that's x to the 4th power, divided by x to the 5th power. So then that's going to be, and because of the rule, any number over itself equals 1, that includes letters, like 2 over 2 equals 1, x over x equal 1. Even if you had a fraction, the same fraction over the same fraction of 2/3, you still have it equaling 1. Anything because of that, each one of these, x over x is 1. And that's times x over x, which is 1, which is times x over x, which is 1, which is times x over x, which is 1. That leaves 1x in the bottom. So all these x's go away and you just have a 1 on the top because 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 1 over and the x left over. That's how it ends up this way, as x to the negative 1 power is 1 over x. Because 4 minus 5 is negative 1. But what that means is you have canceled all the x's on top, but you still have 1 on the bottom. So that's why it's 1 over x. So now that you understand that, let's look at this problem. What we did is x to the negative 1, let's write that down as x over 1 to the negative 1 power. Let's say it was that. That's the same thing because x over 1 is still just x. When we write that, we know because x to the negative 1 equals 1 over x, that equals 1 over x. So really, you're flipping that fraction. That's what we did. You flipped the fraction. Whoa. You just flipped it. Yeah, so when you have a fraction to a negative exponent, you flip the fraction inside the parentheses, so it's 3 over 2, and the exponent becomes positive. Let's try something for a minute. If we have x to the negative 2, we know that equals 1 over x squared. But if we change this x to an x over 1, to the negative 2. It's the same thing as reversing that to 1 over x squared, because 1 over x times itself, because we're squaring 1 over x, equals 1 over x squared. Okay, so if you can follow along, what we have here, let's clear some of this up. So what we have here is we flipped the fraction, we have it to the 4th power, a positive now. So flip, make it positive. And what that means, let's spell out what it means. That is like saying 3 halves times 3 halves times 3 halves. My goodness. Which is then equals 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, that's 3 to the 4th power, over 2 times 2 times 2, 2 to the 4th power. So once you have this parentheses and you have the exponent, you apply that exponent to both the numerator and the denominator and simplify. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 9 is 81. You have 81 on the top, and then 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, and you have 16 on the bottom. And we can't reduce that. So ultimately, you change the negative exponent to positive exponents by reversing the fraction and making the exponent positive, which means it's 3 to the 4th over 2 to the 4th, because it's 3 halves times 3 halves times 3 halves times 3 halves. Then you evaluated the expression by simplifying the exponents down to 81 over 16.